Okay, so obviously the majority of the show today we're reacting to last night. Let's go out to the Johnny Cuba guest line here. Of course, all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0, Johnny Cuba, European roots with a Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. I mean, you would have had to have a bunch of Johnnies last night to get through that second half. Very, very rough. Hey, that's right. Very, very rough. You can pick up a six-pack of Johnny, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. Always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us here, I think everyone recognizes the laugh, a very recognizable laugh. The former longtime radio voice of the Miami Heat, Mike Inglis, here with us. Hello, Mike. Good morning. How are you? Good to see you.
Yes. Hey, Zaz, always great talking with you. I miss you, buddy. I really miss you.
I miss you too. Thank you. I figured, you know what? Like I see Mike sending out some tweets. You know, he's involved in these finals. Let's get Mike on. Let's see what he's got to say. Is it weird? Look, obviously, you don't have to be as dialed into the team as you were before. All right. So you can watch it sparingly if you want, but I know you're dialed into the finals. So is it weird from the perspective of you broadcast, you called 06, 11 to 14, even 2020, you weren't in the bubble, but you called the bubble finals. So this is the first ever Heat NBA finals that you are not on the call. So has this been weird for you?
Oh, very, very, very weird. There's no doubt. I mean, I miss it. I miss you guys. I miss the team. But COVID had an awful lot to do with that, with having to broadcast games and in the arena off a television monitor for a few years, and that sort of started the whole ball rolling with me deciding. I've been doing this a long time, but it's fun to see this team, and once again, it's what Pat and all the guys have put together a team with all these non-drafted players playing out of their minds for the most part, and they're in the finals. And so we're cheering the team on as much as possible. But yeah, it's a little weird for me watching the Heat in the finals, and I'm not there screaming at the officials.
do you? Well, I think you'd have been screaming in the second quarter last night.
Oh yeah,
we'll get to that. Do you, in your head, when you're watching the games, are you doing play-by-play?
A little bit, but then I'm usually commenting more about this guy did this and this guy should have done that, and I'm sort of the play-by-play coach, because I can see what's going through Spo's mind, going, oh, I'm like, oh, come on, really? I mean, geez, guys, but it's good to be sort of away from it all, so I can sleep at night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, how about you get to finish the game and you get to walk a few feet, go into the bedroom instead of pick up your stuff and get on an airplane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I miss traveling with the guys. Jose Pineda, who does the Spanish, and Eric Reed, and all those guys, and John Crotty, and of course I miss Ruth, who was my color analyst the last couple of years, and you miss that camaraderie and yourself and the crew. But you know what? Life goes on, and you got to keep it going. But I am interested, certainly, in the Heat, and I wish them nothing but the best. And I still think it's a phenomenal story where this team has gotten to right now with the talent that they happen to have.
What do you miss the most, and what do you miss the least?
I think what I miss the most is I love the action of the game, going back and forth and doing the play-by-play. I miss the people. The Heat have got. I know I get this even where I'm living now. They ask me about this Heat culture, and I said, hey, listen, it's a real thing, man. I'm going to tell you. I was there 24 years. It's a real thing, and it's basically the way to go about your business. It's a business that you're into, okay? And and that's what you do. And it's all about, hey, this is your job. Do your job properly, and the rewards will come your way. And it's not like that in every organization. There's guys have got certain things you want to do here, certain things you want to do. No, there's one way to do it, and it's the way the Heat want you to do it. And if you don't want to be a part of it, I'm sure the team would be quite happy to say, sayonara, we'll see you later. What I don't miss is getting into a hotel at 3 or 4 in the morning and trying to get some sleep, because my sleep pattern still even now isn't normal like every other human being for all the years, since I was my late teens to broadcasting and traveling.
That was always something that I marveled at when I would be walking out of the arena, after a home game, and I would get done obviously a little bit after you would get done, but I'm walking out the arena and saying to myself, and I'm tired and it's the weeknight, and I'm saying to myself, I can't believe Mike has to now get on an airplane. That seems awful. I never, and I'm not saying that traveling is awful, although I'm sure the traveling every other day, that could be tough. But to me, now I got to go get on a plane. I just want to go to bed. I never understood how you guys did that.
Well, you know what? I kid you not, you get used to it because you're doing it so often. I'll give you an example about being away from family, for example. This is quite a few years ago. My wife and I figured out she had been with our daughter. This is a while ago, at least 7 years longer than I have.
Wow.
because of how many days I was away. Now it's much more than that now, because that's a long time ago we figured that out.
Yeah.
Whether I was doing the NFL or flying around doing hockey or doing basketball or what have you. And you give up an awful lot to do this job. So you've got to have a real good foundation around you. And I'm very fortunate with my wife. She's looked after so much. And now she has to put up with me 365 days a year. I don't know if she's really into that or not yet.
Do you, now you obviously were still broadcasting games. Jimmy's first 2 years with the team, Jimmy's last 2 years, you've been able to watch from afar. Just give me some thoughts on what we've seen out of him this postseason. You want to talk about heat culture, and it's a real thing. I think he's as much of a heat culture guy as there's ever been.
Yeah, it's all about. I get the feeling it's all about the team for him, and obviously when he's got to turn it up, he turns it up. Does it work all the time? No, it doesn't for everybody. You can't be getting 40 points every night. I think he does a great job of getting his teammates involved with what's going on in the game. But he's a special ball player, and I can see why he's doing what he's doing, because he is so into it. Not every player is that. Even in the finals, you can see there's some guys that are just like, I don't want to say lollygagging around, but they don't realize the importance of this, because this is what you work for. And you assume they would realize, hey, this doesn't come around every year.
Right.
You might get one shot. I mean, you look at some of the greats who have never won a championship. I mean, some of the best ball players ever have never won a championship. You got to take advantage of it. So I'm all interested when I'm hearing Coach Malone and Coach Spo talk about, hey, how important this is and exactly what you have to do, and grasp it, take hold of it, because again, you might never be back in this situation again. But I think Jimmy is definitely a big part of a heat culture, and I think it goes across to the other players.
Last night was frustrating. You mentioned, you miss screaming at the officials. I think I'm not blaming the officials today, but I was frustrated with that second quarter last night. Specific, when the game was tight. Matter of fact, the Heat were ahead for most of the second quarter. And specifically, it was 3 straight fouls on Gabe Vincent, where I don't think any of them are fouls. Tony Brothers really making his presence felt in the NBA Finals. That's a whole nother story. I was pretty frustrated last night in the second quarter. How did you feel going into halftime last night? Because we were down by 5. The Nuggets finished the half with an 11-4 run. I was pretty nervous going into halftime. I didn't like the way that quarter ended.
Yeah, I didn't like the way that the second quarter was. Hey, you can't blame it on the officials. It is what it is. Was I happy with the calls? No, but especially this flopping garbage that's going on now, and I'm glad to see that the league is probably going to try to do something about it. But I didn't get a good gut feeling going into that next half, because it seemed like they really spent so much energy in that first quarter, even in the second quarter, trying to keep up, but it kept getting taken away from them. It kept getting taken away from them all the time. And I don't care who you are in what sport, but when that happens, that takes a little bit of the heart out of you with what you're doing because a frustration sets in. And I'm glad you brought up the Vincent situation. I mean, he got run over. I mean, literally run over, and he gets called for the foul.
And then where he made the steal at half court, and they said that he had pinned down Jokic. Jokic's 100 pounds bigger. Give me a break.
Oh yeah, I mean, he had his hand on his hip. That didn't even do anything, for Jokic. And he's just, and then of course everyone's now diving and hitting on the deck, and hey, the heater the same way. Everyone's the same way right now. So that's one thing that the league, as I get off topic maybe a little bit here, the league has got to come do something about, because these diving. I mean, I how many times did you hear me say he's like Greg Louganis? A lot of people have no idea who he is, but he was a phenomenal diving champion, Olympic diving champion for the United States. And so I always brought his name up when I see these guys doing the Greg Louganis stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, I've talked about this before, and I think that the Rules Committee has brought this up recently. The way to fix it, the official hands out a technical foul when he thinks they have embellishment penalties in the National Hockey League. That's why guys don't dive, okay? If the official thinks you flopped, and yes, it's if he thinks you flopped. If the official thinks you flopped, it's a technical foul. Mike, that's how we get rid of the flopping immediately.
Yeah, that, and you know what? You can go to instant replay. You can do that. I know what people want this game. I think nowadays it looks like they want the game in 1 hour. It's just like, come to the arena 1 hour, and then we go home, and then we can order fast food. I don't know, but it doesn't seem anyone's got any patience. But I think in a situation like this in particular, in finals and all that, I see no reason why you can't look at the replay. They've got all the equipment in the world, all the technology, and it shouldn't take 5 minutes. It should take, let's see the videotape, bang, okay, three people there. Okay, yeah. What do you think? Yeah, flop. Yeah, flop. Okay, 2 out of 3 says flop.
It's crazy how long they take. Mike, I look at a replay one time. I know what happened. Let's keep it moving.
I'm the same way. I mean, it's just, what are you guys looking at all the time? I'm thinking, my gosh. Anyway, whatever.
I'll tell you, Nikola Jokic, every time the Heat had a basket last night where it seemed like, okay, now if we get a stop, maybe now we can get going. Every time the Heat hit what you thought could have been a big basket, Jokic had a basket on the, and it wasn't even like the whole Nuggets team played great. Jokic and Murray looked like champions last night.
Oh, well, I go Jokic. I think without a doubt is the best ball player on the planet.
Isn't it crazy? If you voted for Embiid, it's crazy.
I was going to say, who the hell voted for Jokic?
It's crazy
with this guy. This guy does everything. He defends. He scores. He passes. I mean, he just plays the game. So, I mean, when he gets the ball in his hands and he goes, he says, well, you may as well start running down the other end, because 9 times out of 10, that thing's going in. He is so smooth, and he also looks like he's really enjoying himself. That's what he's got. There's nothing else but basketball he's thinking about when he's on the floor, having a good time. And he and his partner there, boy. And I don't know what the answer is to stop Jokic. I mean, I unless you double team him all the time, but then you're leaving. Yeah, you're leaving. You're leaving the middle open. The guy's hitting from outside. Denver is a hell of a ball team. A hell of a ball team.
Yeah, there's no answer. It's, you don't want to double. He'll kill you finding the open man. It really boils down to, you got to defend him. You make him feel you, and hope that he misses a few in the paint. And then you score on the other end. Like, there's only so much you could do. And last night was one of those nights where it's like that. He wasn't making open shots. Everything is the defender on top of him. And that ball, I don't know if it's got stickum on it. It always rolls in. It always rolls in.
I can't tell you how many times I was watching the game last night, said to my wife, I said, man, that guy's got such a soft touch. And then, of course, the announcers go right away. They go, man, he's got a soft touch. So I said,
Crazy.
he backs guys down. Look at, hey, Bam's not a feather here. Bam's a big guy, and he's getting help. Jokic, it doesn't matter. He is and he doesn't even leave his feet.
Yeah.
It's just like the hook shots up and the step back. He is the best ball player on the planet. No doubt about it.
I'm still confident tomorrow night. I'm hoping to go to the game tomorrow night. We'll see. I'm still confident tomorrow night because here's one of the things with this year's Heat team. They play well when they're up against it. They play better when they're uncomfortable, and now we're in a spot very similar to the Boston series. Like, why the hell did we need to wait till game 7 to end that series? They like it when things are difficult, it seems. So I'm still confident tomorrow night.
Yeah, they've got some great resiliency. I mean, I'll tell you what I think will help them is getting more production off the bench, because right now there are too many minutes of nothing happening offensively for them. They might be good at the defensive end, but they need Caleb to start doing something, Duncan to start doing something.
Well, look,
they've got to get some decent.
The 2 games the Heat have lost this series, they haven't gotten the secondary scoring.
Exactly.
A whole big thing was made in game 1. Strus and Martin were 1 of 17. Well, last night, Strus and Vincent 3 of 17. If they're not going to get the secondary scoring, because this Heat team, they don't have the superstars the way Murray and Jokic can have 30-point triple-doubles. It really is the sum of their parts.
Yeah, you're right. And if they're not hitting, I'm telling you, they're in trouble if they're not hitting. If that bench isn't giving them something, and even the starters, I mean, how many times can you just have Bam and Jimmy doing it? Vincent, I mean, he's playing out of his mind. But you got to get production. That's been the key to the team all season. You got to get production. I mean, there's a reason they were the lowest scoring team in the NBA during the regular season. There's a reason for that. And when that raises its ugly head, you're in trouble. So they've got to get production from those other players right now on a consistent basis, because time starts to run out very, very quickly. You don't want to be going back to Denver down 3-1 because it's over if that happens.
What do you do going into tomorrow about Tyler Hero? There's been talk that he could have returned earlier in the series, but apparently his hand was flaming up a little bit. If he's ready for tomorrow, look, we just scored 94 points last night. We could use a little bit of help offensively. I think for the most part, we need more help defensively. He's not going to help you in that regard. What do you do? It's so hard to just say, hey, I know you haven't played in 7 weeks. Go out there and help us in the NBA Finals. What do you do?
I think you probably give him some minutes and see how he reacts. I mean, they're not going to put him out there if he's going to hurt himself again. He just don't do that stuff. But I think you get him out there. Let's see if he brings a bit of a charge to the team. Hey, maybe he'll hit a couple of 3 balls or something, or some good passing, But I think you have to have a look. And when you do it, for Coach Spo and the coaching staff, that's the big question. I mean, do you do it if Denver is all of a sudden on a run and you need to change something, or do you get him out there with Jimmy, with the rest of the crew and the starters with Bam and Vincent, and see what he can do? But that's a tough one. But I'll tell you right now, they need a shot of offense, and in particular off that damn bench.
They need a guy who could create a little bit.
Yep.
Who can take and make junk shots. He can do that. The only other guy really on the team that can do that is Jimmy. I've been saying, Mike, I would give him the Mike Miller treatment, where Mike was coming off the bench in 2012. If you can give us a few minutes and you knock down a shot or 2, okay, we'll keep you out there. If you look ineffective, we'll talk another day. That's how I would play with Tyler.
I think you're probably right with that, because he can do so many different things, offensively for sure. Defensively, with Miami, it's usually a collective effort anyway, especially doing the zone and what have you. They're the best in the league doing the zone. But I think at this point now, you've got to try something. I know we're only 3 games in, but boy. Denver's just there's a reason they are where they are.
It's Jokic. I mean,
he is. You cannot give that guy enough money.
He's
can't.
impossible. He's impossible.
Yeah.
Mike, what I know you're out there, you're enjoying retirement, you're playing a lot of golf. Are we watching movies? Are you keeping up with the movies, TV shows? What are you doing to pass time?
Well, when the weather's good here where I'm living, it's definitely golf. I watch TV. I'm a TV buff, and just watching different shows and stuff like that. Trying to keep myself busy. Are you watching
something on Netflix? Have you finished Netflix?
No, I have not finished it, but I'm sort of stuck into these police shows that are on the networks, which I really get a kick out of. Whether it's NCIS this or whatever.
You're watching everything like you're watching CBS, is what you're telling me.
Okay, I guess that's. See, I couldn't even tell you the network that it's on.
You're watching America's most watched network. You're the one.
Yeah, I got Direct TV. My daughter hooked up this whole streaming thing for me. I cut the cable cords. I'm sorry, cable companies, but I had to. It's because of my daughter, and we're also looking after my granddaughter, so a couple of days a week.
Mike, let me ask you this, because I brought this up on my show yesterday, and I talked very briefly about it. It's not my thing. I don't have all the information. I don't know everything. You're a big golf guy. Is this a disaster with the PGA taking the blood money? Is the media making too big a deal out of this? Are you very upset about what's going on?
Well, to put it this way, I was on the golf course yesterday, and that subject came up all the time, and I literally said, if I could not watch golf again, I would not watch it again. But I love it so. I love it so much.
You're very upset.
Think about a guy like I lost his name. The Irish golfer.
McIlroy.
Yes, think about McIlroy, who put his soul out there saying, you got to be in the PGA, and he's just been thrown right under the bus. I mean, right under the bus. And how can you tell me, again, I'm old school, so how can you tell me playing only 3 rounds in your shorts with a team, and if you lose, you still got millions in the bank? How is that like good for the sport? I don't get it. Again, like I said, I'm old school. 4 rounds.
You want them playing for the purse. It helps.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, do you think those guys that are on Live are practicing as hard as they used to when they were on the PGA? They don't have to. Right. Hey, look at Phil Mickelson. He's got all those millions in the bank. So if he loses, I'm just going to go home anyway. So everything's cool.
And and the commissioner, this Jay Monahan, he's not going to survive this.
Oh, I don't think so either. I don't think. I think you hit it nail on the head saying the blood money. There's a lot of people pretty upset, but if you're a golfaholic like me, you're still like, for example, I'll be watching the Canadian Open today. They're up in Toronto, where I covered the Canadian Open a bunch of times when I lived up there, and it's a big deal. And I'll watch that because of that interest. But in all honesty, I'm watching them all. I'm watching the European League. I'm watching the ladies play. I watch the PGA, and
but you're not happy about it. You're not happy.
I am not happy whatsoever. Particular what it has done to so many players that put their name and job on the line, saying, no, PGA, this is the way it's done properly. We don't need that Saudi money. But you know what? Nowadays, what do they say? Money talks.
Finally here, Mike. Finally here. You're a Canadian guy. Both of us, we love hockey. Are you very excited? Are you very into the Panthers? Must win tonight.
Well, first of all, I'm not Canadian.
Well, but you have citizenship, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you have citizenship?
In Canada, no.
No.
I British. I still have my British passport and a U.S. passport, as a matter of fact. So, but I am so happy for the Panthers.
Yeah.
So. I said, let's face it, they've got a great following of fans, but it's a smaller following of fans as opposed to the NBA and football. Yeah. So, but if they could win, it would be fabulous. But you better get the W. You better get the W, man.
Yeah, I'm super. Every Panther game I would have on my phone during the Heat game.
I know.
I've been so into. I'm so excited for tonight.
It's cool.
Yeah, Mike. I waited 27 years. It's most of my life. I've waited 27 years to get back to the Stanley Cup final. Like that's a prison sentence. And finally I'm out of prison. I can enjoy the game.
Those are the old rat days, aren't? Was that what it was in the old arena?
Yes, of course. That was before you moved down here.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I remember seeing that stuff. Yeah. But the fans they've got great fans. Very dedicated fans.
Mike, if you've stuck with the team through these 27 years, you're an incredible fan. I mean, let's be serious,
I'll tell and I tell all my American friends too that aren't into hockey. I said, listen, just go to a game.
Oh yeah, sure.
Go to a game. It's different. It's entirely different on TV. But you go to a game and watch what these guys are doing.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. And I tell everybody, I've done the NHL. I've covered all these professional sports. It says hockey players are in the best shape of any single sport there is right now.
No load management. Load management for those guys.
No fat hockey players either. There's no fat hockey players. I mean, except me. But that's it. But I love the hockey. So I wish them nothing but the best. I really do.
Mike, this was fun. I appreciate you hanging out with us this morning, man.
I just love seeing that face again. I miss you being right beside me, man.
Thank you.
It's been a while. But anytime you want to talk, you got my number. Just give me a shout, pal.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you're doing well.
And go Heat Nation.
Great job, Mike. Thank you.
Cheers.